as we transition into this evening's live with a little bit more information about what's going on here with rates, whether they're going to be cut, unchanged, raised, which it's been our understanding that I didn't think until the end of Q3, towards the last quarter of the year, which we're still not there yet, that'd be around August. I thought they were going to keep rates the same because I think the aim here is to have a 3/4 of a point or even a 1 full point rate cut when they finally do it. So now the question becomes, can cryptocurrency hold this support structure? Because XRP is still over that pattern breakout support. Or does the fact that they kept rates unchanged, does that unhinge crypto here at all? That's the only question you should ask yourself. Because I firmly believe that we're going to have big rate cuts here coming towards probably the next meeting. We've gotten through the first 6 months worth of meetings. Now, I don't think anybody, outside of a few, were thinking like we were. I know there's a few that were. But thinking that we wouldn't even have a single rate cut until the last quarter of the year. I didn't think we'd have one at all for this part of the year until at least the end of Q3. And then I think the whole play there is the fact that you could get a larger rate cut all at once if, we have a little bit of uncertainty. If the markets were kind of dropping a little bit, it would kind of be like the perfect storm there. Then you could have the quantitative easing kick in, you'd have the rate cuts, and then it would inevitably help the markets reverse, especially on risk assets. Gold and silver would actually do pretty well still because your rates are going lower, which would give you a further devaluation. So my whole thing I want to watch this evening, and it's beautiful to have people here with me so that we can kind of talk this out and look at it together. But I want to see if XRP can hold this back test area. And I found it pretty profitable here the last couple of days to kind of buy and sell XRP in a way and kind of do a swing trade kind of thing with it. And I'm telling you, it's been pretty profitable in the spot positioning. And right now is the consideration of buying a bunch again and trying to run this out right now because it held out and it almost looks like it set up a weird inverse pattern. And the fact it didn't break down. Now, the one thing that does concern me a little bit is the fact that we are coming off of the rate staying the same. And if it was priced in for a rate cut, it didn't happen. I didn't expect it to. No, I don't think anybody here did. But what I'm seeing here is some resiliency. And if we could just get any volume out, if we could get one small volume spike, this could shoot up to 250, 265. I know there's some gap areas, which is why I think it's kind of an interesting play as well. You could technically come up here to 230 something area and you could be like, maybe we'll roll back up after that sudden drop. But I understand we already came back up there. You could have some kind of weird triple top up there. But it's just the way it's kind of carrying itself right now. It's formed this little reversal. And that could be a little Gartley reversal here. So I'm watching it. I'm watching it for some kind of... Because I'm mostly watching because it's back above that uptrend. If it gets above this uptrend, I think that's a better than not play. At least back up to 234. As long as it holds 217, I don't see anything wrong with that play. But like I always say, we try to find validation. But we'll talk about this during this live. Let me say hi to everybody who's here. I expect it to be a much smaller crowd this evening. Specifically because markets have been a little unhinged, but I'm telling you, I can smell a little bit of an opportunity here. I feel like there's a small opportunity starting to present itself. There was a lot of shorts, and now you kind of got to play the contrarian view. A lot of shorts means we probably could take a little run up here. So I would love to ask the audience, do you feel like there's kind of an opportunity here maybe for a small swing trade, even if that? Or maybe just the fact that you want to buy something. Do you feel an opportunity? Or do you think it's still the inevitable tug that we have the CME gap on Bitcoin at 91,800 and some change, and XRP has at FVG at $1.50? Is that going to be the overriding factor? The fact that rates were unchanged? We'll have to talk about this. The fact that we have a possible looming escalation in the war. And it feels like it's going to be a sudden escalation for the fact that Trump told U.S. citizens to get out of Iran imminently for their safety. And it's like, well, I don't like that for the Iranian people, but that kind of gives you the evidence you need that something could escalate here. So that's going to be an interesting tug to watch as well. But, you know, that's the maybe what ifs not. So maybe while everybody's distracted, this is where you get that sneaky pump back up. There was a rather large long taken out by a rather rich person. So they must know something as well. John Bugathorpe, welcome in. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Says he's back in the U.S. trying to stay awake at 5:43 Eastern Standard Time, but my body thinks it's still 11:43 French time. Well, I'm glad you made it back safe, and that is going to be some jet lag you got to deal with for a few days for sure. But I'm glad you're back on the homeland. Let's see. Aaron, welcome in. Joseph Euler and Frankie Fresh, thank you all three of you for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. UK Phil, CJ2 Pilot, and Mosley here, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, along with Wales, Josie Wales. I think I said Wales, Joe. No, I didn't. So all 4 of you in Tom's Army for over 1 year. Thank you so much for that. J Free Mix, welcome in. 1970 legend, love seeing you in the house. The Buckeye champion in the house. Thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Wouldn't be the same without you, I must say. I must say. Even if you, even if my Michigan championship was short-lived and Ohio State had to win it the next year, it still wouldn't be the same without you. So, much appreciation, my friend. I hope you're having a blessed evening, though. Let's see. Big Dog, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. I appreciate you moving into the 2nd month, Big Dog. Really appreciate that. Tom, what's up, brother? Hey, if you viewers are looking for Moonboy info, this isn't the space for you. Tom ain't selling hopium. He's dropping facts. That's what I try to do. You know, I notice when you're down with hopium and up with facts, you are down with the view count. If I had the hopium, the view count would be going out the stratosphere, but we have the right crowd. I trust this crowd. You know, it means something when you can trust the community more than anything. That means something, because you come in, you ask a question, and you can take it to the bank that it's the truth. BT Zemet not buying. Exactly. If you are, if you aren't, that's why I want to know the opinions. McMichael, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Crypto Cooter, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor, and good evening to you. Trading with J-Ride, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. Says hit that like button indeed. And hola, McMichael. Hola. Stephen G, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. I'm glad you could finally catch a live, Mr. Steven. Poppy Lou 69, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 1st month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. That is my face superimposed on there. It's so very important to see those 1 month badges. It's how we keep the lights on around here. Notice it's getting pretty dark behind me. So, nah, small joke. But it might get even darker if we can't pay the light, though. You know, that's the old catchy joke. We won't even be like the Hotel Inn, or what the hell is it, the Motel 6? Yeah. We won't even be like the Motel 6. We can't leave the light on for you, and we certainly can't have a complimentary breakfast. So I appreciate your continued support, my friend. I really, really do. Or your beginning support at that, but continued in viewing as well. Live and Riches, welcome in. Says, I just bought the dip, so we definitely dumping more. Did you hear him do it? Live and Riches said, I just bought the dip, so we definitely dumping more. So he's saying because he bought, he's the Grim Reaper. So now we should probably open up some shorts is what he's saying. Now, he's not a financial advisor, nor am I. But if you want to do the inverse, Live and Riches ETF, you could short what he's buying. I tend to, you know what we should do? You know Miles, the Miles indicator, 1/3. We do what the technicals tell us, but 2/3 was do exactly the opposite of what Miles said. 1/3 was what our chart said, so it'd always be overruled. So whatever he said, we do the opposite. We should just do that one day. And every time Michael Saylor buys Bitcoin, after the initial surge, for whatever the few percent is, we should just short it. Every single time, because I've noticed a pattern. Every single time he buys and it comes out, Bitcoin goes up about 6,000, 7,000, maybe 5,000. Right after that, in a matter of days, it goes down lower than where it started. So I think we could, every single time, we could just short it, even if it's only a 3x, 5x, 10, you know, just to see. A 15x on Bitcoin, I always look at it earlier when it was at about 104K, would get you out past 110K. So it's a 6,000 point move. So, I mean, there's room to roll. But I always wondered if we could, as a community, just take advantage of that. Because I've noticed a big pattern there. John Hall, good evening, and thanks for tuning in. Says, hey, brother, good evening. XRP, thank you, brother. You're welcome. Appreciate you tuning in continuously as well. Defined Group, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Adam Carrillo, welcome in, and I'm glad you were able to find us in a live this evening instead of having to watch it after. I see your comments quite often, though, after when you're rewatching it. I appreciate you helping the algorithm as well. Robert Montoya, welcome in. Good evening, my friend. Sir Smokes a lot, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Melomania. Hey, Tom, what do you think about ZBAC chart? They have a partnership with XLM. It's funny because I seen a little partnership possibility with Ripple as well. And I don't know what to think. Can we buy tonight all together? I don't know. We're going to have to look at these charts a little bit deeper than that. We can certainly take a look. But we're going to look. Because the opportunity, there's probably going to be a few of them, like one of them that's starting to be almost in that opportune zone, and this is a front runner right now to see if it ends up coming down a little bit farther or not, would be XDC. I want to see right now how DGB reacts, because we're short of this last target, and it's almost like we're back testing in a sense, but it's hard to get a little bit of a read. But the fact that rate stayed unchanged, I mean, what's the driver here? I'm trying to figure out, is there going to be a volume that drives this? Because technically Bitcoin can come all the way back up, like I was saying, to like 109, 110, and still be at a rejection point, but it still gives opportunity, you know. So I'm saying, even if it's bearish, I would love to see Bitcoin just come down to that 91,800 area. I would just love it. You know, one of those things. But what we're going to take a look, because it does seem like momentum's starting to surge around just a little bit. And when you look at it in the daily sense, you can see how we had a bad daily candle from yesterday. But I mean, today, it's been everything pretty much what a hold candle would be on the day. So we're setting ourselves up for kind of a hold here. And then it's going to come in tomorrow's candle. But I got a sneaky suspicion that, assuming we don't dump out here in the next couple of hours, we could get a little stringy to the top side here. Whether it's, but I don't think there's going to be any volume. You know, Sir Smokes Out said, personally, I'm glad we didn't get rate cuts. Sucks for the short term, but long term, it bad. Oh, what's transpiring is the worst possible thing that can happen to us, and maybe some see it, some don't. I certainly see it, and I'll get into it right after this. Good evening. 6:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan, the hottest hell and humid state of Michigan lately. Going to be 98 on Sunday and 100 on Monday here. Lord have mercy. And I got to cook hamburgers and hot dogs, damn it, on the barbecue Sunday for Michaela's graduation. I'm going to sweat my legitimate grotesques off. So, but the dedication. I'm going to have to water my plants in the morning and at night when it's that damn hot. Oh, Lord. Anyhow, the rate cuts. It looks beautiful. The rate cuts are a disaster when they happen. We need to raise rates to like 20%. I know everybody always gets pissed when I say it, but we do. We need to raise rates to like 20%. And I understand if you get a house, if you need to take out a loan, it's going to cost you 20% interest. But you're looking at it the wrong way. Think of what Dave Ramsey does with the debt-free living. That means if you have money in the bank, you get 20% savings, 20% interest rate. Could you imagine if you have money in the bank and you got 20% interest? Holy moly. Say goodbye to PMI insurance if you buy a house, because you're going to be able to save that money in the bank. So when they cut rates, and they will, and we go negative, have fun paying for your money to be saved. That's all I'm going to say. So anyhow, before I get in trouble, I noticed 10 people left because they hate me now. Then what's the points? It's kind of blah, blah, blah. Y side, the weekend will be a different story. Probably. Syrian, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor, and thanks for being a very, very trusted mod. And yes, it is so very hot. Why the side Soha says, remember, crypto doesn't sleep while exchanges will have an opening and a close. Yep, that's the truth. That is the truth. Newbie, that would never happen. Of course, what wouldn't happen? The fact that I want it to go to 20%, it'll never happen. You're probably right about that. Or are you saying the fact that we would have to pay to have money in the bank? Or how about the fact that if they go to negative rates, if you take out a loan from the bank, they have to pay you for the loan? It's all going to be backwards. It's all going to be ass backwards. So, but that's where we're heading. I mean, we're only a couple of 1% rate cuts from going back to zero. No, that wouldn't be great. Newbie, I know on that. You know who that sounds good to? And this is no offense if you fit this category, because I did for a long time. That's what broke people say. Only broke people think that's a good idea. Only the ones that want to borrow money or like government assistance thinks negative rates are good. No offense to you. I'm just saying you probably don't. You're probably a young man, young lady, or not lady, newbie. I mean, at this point, the fact that it says Xbox, I would just say you're probably a man, because most women don't have the name Xbox in front of them. That's just my old man status telling me that. Even though I'm middle-aged old man. So I'm not really like old man, I'm middle-aged man. Them paying us for money would be great. Oh, you're so short-sighted. That's on the loan. What about the money you have in the bank? What about the fact that you have no interest rate to have a savings? You know, that's the caveat here. Sure, you get a few pennies for the loan that you're taking out to pay anyhow. So what are they going to do if you're not paying them the interest? They're just going to raise how much the property costs. So you're still going to be paying the same amount, except you're not going to get any. You already don't get any money in the savings account in the bank. It's interesting. Someone said broke. James, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. I'm glad to see my chain fence is working. All my stuff is growing beautifully. Had to keep him out. He's a pesky little guy. But XRP, that 219. So really, doesn't really matter what we do right now. We're probably, this is why there's a small opportunity. We're going to come up here and try to retest this. We talked about it earlier this morning too in my update. Probably like that. Either it's going to come up to 222, 224, maybe even 234. But yeah, I mean, there is some potential here. The fact that we held, now this inverse pattern could play out. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot with rates staying the same, but it could be a silent signal that we have a short rally, and then we could end up going farther where we want. I would prefer not to have a short rally here. I want to just take out these levels below, because it gets stair-steppy when you start doing it like this, you know? So I certainly don't want this to start stepping even more. Because every time you rise up when you haven't cleared out the lower liquidity or the lower gaps, you're just building more of a base or more capital to allow it to just fall through. So every time you gain more of a base, it gives more opportunity for the ones who are maybe bigger sellers to get out while people are buying. Catherine, welcome in, love, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. I really, really appreciate that. With XDC, I was saying it's either going to make a quick rebound here to retest this drop, or we're going to get the early validation here that if it gets a rejection at 5.8 and doesn't go up any farther, it could be that early validation for the continued drop down. But I don't know. I'm going to draw this pattern out right now because it's been consolidating sideways for a little while. And this could just be validating that something bigger is about to happen. And sometimes when that happens, like this is that bottom tier layer and you're still below it. So, I mean, nothing's happened yet. And then even if you go at it from this angle, still nothing's really happened. You know, you got a couple layers that you're going to have to break through. But that's just, hey, I want to know what the hell's going on with this pattern, right? So you have to get past those resistance. But at the same time, you've also had these lower lows happening. Well, maybe not all lower lows, but you've had a nice consistent base right here. I mean, look how perfect that is in this area. So even if we go to right there. Let's see. See, like whoops. We really did bounce off of that area perfectly. Like that's how I would put that. Because I'm measuring it up with the third tap was right here. So 1, 2, 3. Look at how this area is bounced on that as support. That has to be noted. Maybe that's what it needed to do, but if not, it's going to have the rest of that drop down to like 4 cents. So that's how close we are. We're on the cusp right now. But if we don't fall out now, because we have hit 3 times right here in a very short amount of time, we could come up to the resistance at 6.2. That's why I'm saying there could be a 20% opportunity. Not just in XDC, but in crypto as a whole. There could be an opportunity that just developed very quickly. Let's go take a look at data, because if there's opportunity or AMP, I want to know. I want to actually take a shot with something. AMP's the other one. AMP is definitely the other one. And if that is an inverse head and shoulders, notice I drew this out before. It hasn't come below that line yet. So I could see myself maybe taking a shot there with AMP. Theta, 69 cents. Did not invalidate its inverse head and shoulders either. And that's in a falling channel. That's what I'm saying. There could be an opportunity that's set up. Theta, I've been playing the buy and sell game. That's what I mean. Like, I could theoretically take a shot here with Theta. Just buy it in the 1x futures market on BITUNIX and then just have a shot. That's what I like about BITUNIX. I'm telling you, I get a gut feeling that something's happening, like a surge or something. Just the way this is playing out, it's held perfectly the last couple of days. So even with my bearish bias, I still feel like something, we have to watch these support structures. If it breaks down, we know exactly where it's going. You know, Quant did break down initially, but look how it's reversed. They're retesting these areas. So that's what I'm saying. We have to see if we're going to get this drop point retest now. It's going to be very interesting. Let's see where Dad is at right now. It's all of them. All of them are trying to put these jank reversals, but, you know, we're getting closer to 6. This is where it's got to try to hold up. But forget that. I'm not looking at data. I want to go back to where I was looking. Like Theta with that inverse head and shoulders. That's still very much intact. Very much intact. I mean, that is... Theta and AMP are the two that I still say you can ride it, and then you have to, you know, find your short-term bailouts. Like, and I can't be there to hold your hand if you do something like this, but right now I'm indifferent, so I can't do anything. You know, I got to see a little bit more clarity here, because this just seems like we have this sudden useless bounce. Everybody gets excited. Hey, rate cut stayed the same, and then nothing happens, right? So I'm going to choose to have, I'm looking on BITUNIX to see how much exactly is liquid. Or how much I could actually spend in the liquid sense. So, you know, I got a good 25,000 that I could spend in the liquid sense, you know? So, We'll see what happens. Oh, it does. Sir Smoke Slide, it all feels like a trap right now. I almost feel like, that's why I was almost saying Bitcoin with a short as it's trying to tempt fate here. I don't know if it'd be a good decision or not just because of the way it's playing, but it's really in a rising, a little bit of a rising wedge longer term. Like if you look at this, it looks like it, doesn't that look a little rising wedgy? So, I don't know, man. Every time I want to make a move, I look at this, I'm ooh. If it's a temporary bounce back up, John, I would say not 206. $1.82 would be a double bottom, so you could technically get a drop to 182 back to 198. And then if it's not meant to play out, maybe even $1.88 after the bounce to 182. And then if it wasn't meant to break up, then it would go down to $1.50. I think $1.50 is that point where it's most likely to break up from. If you take a shot with AMP, what would your short-term bailout be? God, it's so tricky because AMP, I mean, you're basically taking a hope and a leap and a prayer with all of them. Because look at that. The problem is we have engulfing dailies, and I'm not a fan of buying engulfing dailies, my friend. So, I can't even in good faith tell you. That all I can tell you is from a technical standpoint, you'd be a fool to buy it with a daily engulfing candle at the downside. And yeah, it might be just the bottom of this push down, but oh boy. Hey, happy birthday, Dennis. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Dennis Smith. Happy birthday to you. I'm sorry it's so red on your birthday and we have engulfing candle and AMP. If it makes you feel any better, does everybody remember what happened on my birthday? That's when the crypto market decided to have a major crash on December 17th, 2024. That's when it decided to have a little toppy party, and then we came back up to double top a few weeks later. Yeah, oh yeah. It's a good day. Is AMP an IoT token? That's a good damn question because I don't know. I've seen so many things that say yes. I've seen so many things that say no. If you ask me, it doesn't meet my typical classification of a IoT token. AMP, IoT token. It doesn't meet my classification of normal. I almost feel like AMP is more of like a... almost like a... I don't want to say a meme token, but I don't think it's... I don't think it's a IoT token. I don't know. I don't believe it is. Oh, it does crypto, Cooter. That's the problem. But no, I wouldn't say that it's a technical IoT token. I think it's more of like a meme style token if you're asking me. I could be wrong. Dennis said, thanks, Tom. It's the thought that counts. I appreciate you and the family here. Absolutely. Absolutely. I shorted XRP all week, but I'm being cautious. I don't plan to give it all back. I'm already gave 12% back after being burned by the spike. I don't know where it was so fast. I didn't want to get liquid. Oh, absolutely. That's why when you get up a certain percentage in leverage, that it gets tricky. Even if you make the right call, they can have a 3 to 5 to 7% move back and forth. And if you're on a 10x, that gets close to liquidation. A lot of people trade 35, 50, 75x because it's sexy. Sexy doesn't pay the bills unless you're a hooker or a stripper. And even then, you don't really have to be sexy because there's a lot of horny dudes out there. So, it is what it is. With H-bar, it's at literally the support, but it's hitting it from the back side. That bear flag that was set up, I mean, assuming this actually rejects, that puts you somewhere in the 10 to 12 cent or 11 to 12 cent range. It's pretty ugly. It's a 30%. So, I still feel like we're looking at a 20 to 30% drop unless something changes our fate. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you to buy something when I can't even convince myself that, like, if I was sitting here 10 months ago or 2 years ago and said, hey, Tom, at 69 cents, Theta's on this big inverse head and shoulders, you're buying it. I'd be like, oh my fucking God, are you kidding me? I remember when this was at 12, 15 bucks in the last bull cycle. You goddamn right, or gosh darn right, I'm buying this. And then I'm like, wait a minute, can you show me the volume portfolio? And then I look at it and say, well, what the hell is that pile of shit? The last time I remember this going out of going to bazooka land, going to like out of the stratosphere, I remember the volume at least had some kind of semblance, but not here. This was during the COVID. That was during the blah, 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 and we got all the paychecks. This is the only real volume we really had on Theta was in 19, but look at that big surge. Even here, we did have some in 2020 to get it started, but the big peak of volume was way back there, so it's basically been in a long-term head and shoulders. So that's why you start to look at some of these and be like, well, if crypto goes down, maybe Theta does come back down and reset the whole damn pattern. But it'd be far-fetched. It'd be far-fetched because it's setting up an inverse head and shoulders. Now, I don't know. This is one of the crazier ones because there is literally nothing to reverse this with volume. Like, that's the freaking crazy part. Now, this does look to me, though, awfully reversal-ish. Is what I'm saying. Like, it looks like a little bit of a reversal here in the shorter time frames. It really does. So, like, the thing is like it's dropped so much and now people are starting to sell all their stuff out. And now this could be that, that's what I mean. This could be that no man's in the middle where they could slice it. Yeah, I heard you. That's good. I'm glad he needed it. So 6 o'clock. But I mean, the ultimate decisive indicator here is the fact that Ethereum's still below, and now it's below the golden cross areas, and now it's actually formed a death cross here in the 3-hourly, confirmed, at least for the moment. 2-hourly's already done it, and the 50 crossed to 200, which is a confirmation of a short-term pattern flip. It doesn't mean that it's going to be validated. Still got a little bit more to validate because it's only the 2 hours, so this could be just a short-term, you know, corrective phase. 4-hourly is holding on for dear life. It's getting rejected by the 20 as we speak, but it's above the 200. So this is where it's being squeezed and trying to make a decision. Short of volume, this would be a big problem because you're still below the wedge. So we pay attention. In my audience, if you were doing, would you buy an altcoin if you had to, if I gave you $1,000 right now, and I'm not a financial advisor, if I gave you $1,000 right now, would you short Bitcoin or buy any altcoin of your choosing? That's the question. You can buy any altcoin you want with $1,000 or short Bitcoin. What would you do right now? That's all I want to know. I'm going to make an educated and informed algorithmic decision based on your responses. It's never failed me. I don't think it will. James would buy XDC. I already understand. Thank you, James. Short Bitcoin, Frankie. Buy alts. Crypto Cooter and Frankie Fresh say short Bitcoin. 1970 Legends. Buy altcoin. Altcoin for Jesse. Syrian short. So let's see. 1 buy, 1 short. 2 buy, 3 buy, 4 buy, 5 buy. 2 short. 6 buy. 3 short, 7 buy, 8 buy, 9 buy, 10 buy, 11 buy, 12 buy, 3 short. 13 buy, 14 buy, so 14 buys, 3 shorts. I'm going to figure it out based on the audience's decision. C Money says short it all. Randad says buy. Alt, I'd get some SHX. The question is, what would you do? Well, it's a very interesting question. Now, in the 4-hourly, it does show like a reversal here. So if I give you $1,000 and you shorted Bitcoin, you might very well be right. But the fact that it looks like a double bottom, it's below the uptrend support on this pattern wedge kind of setup. And it's showing a long leg doji reversal. And it's above on the 4-hour candle as of right now. Above the 200 as well. I would say it would be a big risk to short Bitcoin right now. But I don't know if there's even a right answer here because short of volume, it's going to be a short little rally to begin with. And it might just bleed out anyhow. If it was up to me, I would have mining stocks. Oh, wait a minute. It is up to me. I do have mining stocks. I may even look at emerging markets. Would you look at that? I have those too. Heck, I might even pay attention with the emerging geopolitical tension to maybe have some kind of hold up in the oil industry. Wait a minute. We do that too. What, Julie? Oh, that's the one that I've been trying to feed. I got to feed this cat. There's a cat that ran into my yard and it's super skinny. Can't help it. I got to feed the kitty.
Oh, he's eating seeds.
That's what I was telling you. It's super hungry. I'm gonna put some fat in this thing.
Be gentle. He looks a little skittish.
I got some hard eggs off. Put that food out.
Did you see where it ran?
Yeah, right into they decided the whole lady's
Oh,
house.
where Ernie lives?
Yeah. So Ernie's got a neighbor. Or a roommate.
So watch.
Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, the USDC stock is up 7x. It sure is. It sure is. No, this is the second or third time I've seen this cat. But it never gets close enough. It never went into my area where most of the cats go. There's been a couple that have been reunited. Because it's been in our little home. As some of you know. On the side of the house, I put a little fence up, chicken wire. And I put a cat house and it gives a little protection for the cats.
But they like to go over the neighbors.
So, with XLM, it's at, see, I mean, they are looking like we're trying to retest the drop point and get some kind of validation. So we'll see. Because XLM could come up to 25.6 cents and then tell us what it needs to do. XRP could come up to like $2.19 and some change. So, be careful no matter what you're doing. I love all animals too. I feed them the shit out of them all. I feed bird seed, squirrel food. I like Ernie. He's our little groundhog. We got squirrels and birds and rats and mice and all this other shit around here. Hell, I even seen, what was it, a bald eagle? Or a vulture? Yeah, we seen a vulture. It attacked.
It had a deer.
It had a mouse in its grasp, or a rat, and it flew away with it. The vulture. Right, I walked out. I opened the door, and it's just sitting on my front lawn with the rat, just staring at me. And then it flew away. I wish I would have had my phone. I would have took a video of it. I'll never forget. The rat looked at me like it's over. It just had that look of defeat, like it knew. And then we've had deer over here too. It's pretty cool. But we got to go over a couple things. So, what happened today with the interest rates? We know it stayed the same, which is exactly what we expected. But let's take a look at Jerome Powell. What he said. You know, obviously we're gonna want to see some of the things. I don't want to watch the whole hour and 57 minutes. I wanted to get like kind of a couple minute clip of him. Not 55. Well, we could go to this one, and I could just go to the fun facts. Yeah, that's what we can do.
Relative measurement. My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual
Because we might as well see what's going on. Otherwise, we're not going to know. So basically what happened is they kept rates the same. And we'll just hear exactly how he said it, what his tone was. And you can get a lot out of it. Was it a hawkish stand? Was it a, you know, not so much?
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. Despite elevated uncertainty, the economy is in a solid position. The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment. Inflation has come down a great deal, to leave our policy running somewhat above our 2%. We believe that the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to potential economic developments. I'll have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Following growth of 2.5% last year, GDP was reported to have edged
Good news, everybody. The kitty's eating.
down in the first quarter, reflecting swings in net exports that were driven by businesses bringing in imports ahead of potential tariffs. This unusual swing has complicated GDP measurement. Private domestic final purchases, or PDFP, as we call them, which excludes net exports, inventory investment, and government spending, grew at a solid 2.5% rate.
That looks like an indoor
Within
sack, doesn't it?
PDFP, growth of consumer spending moderated, while investment in equipment and intangibles rebounded from weakness in the fourth quarter. Surveys of households and businesses, however, report a decline in sentiment over recent months and elevated uncertainty about the economic outlook, largely reflecting
I gotta go
trade
put
policy
water out there,
concerns.
dude.
It remains to be seen how these developments might affect future spending and investment. In our summary of economic projections, the median participant projects GDP to rise 1.4% this year and 1.6% next year, somewhat slower than projected in March. In the labor market, conditions have remained solid. Payroll job gains averaged 135,000 per month over the past 3 months. The unemployment rate, at 4.2%, remains low and has stayed in a narrow range for the past year. Wage growth has continued to moderate while still outpacing inflation. Overall, a wide set of indicators suggests that conditions in the labor market are broadly in balance and consistent with maximum employment. The labor market is not a source of significant inflationary pressures. The median projection for the unemployment rate in the SEP is 4.5% at the end of this year and next, a bit higher than projected in March.
Oh, you're coming in with me, kitty.
Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal. Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index and other data indicate that total PCE prices rose 2.3% over the 12 months ending in May, and that, excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.6%. Near-term measures of inflation expectations have moved up over recent months, as reflected in both market and survey-based measures. Respondents to surveys of consumers, businesses, and professional forecasters point to tariffs as the driving factor. Beyond the next year or so, however, most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal. The median projection in the SEP for total PCE inflation this year is 3%, somewhat higher than projected in March. The median inflation projection falls to 2.4% in 2026 and 2.1% in 2027.
Okay, I'll be honest. I don't give a rat's ass about any of that.
To peak in April and have since declined. Even so, increases in tariffs this year are likely to push up prices and weigh on economic activity. The effects on inflation could be short-lived, reflecting a one-time shift in the price level. It's also possible that the inflationary effects could instead be more persistent. Avoiding that outcome will depend on the size of the tariff effects, on how long it takes for them to pass through fully into
I'll be
prices.
honest. I don't give a rat's ass about any of that. Can't help it. He's just, Oh, here's what Trump said about Powell.
The Federal
Well,
Reserve's interest rate decision
And we know Trump wants lower rates, so this is a cat and mouse game. Eventually, we're going to have a big rate cut in the third quarter and the Q3, mark my words.
is expected in just a matter of hours. Fed Chair Jerome Powell will make the announcement
You know what?
at 2 p.m.
I don't even
Welcome
care.
in Jeffrey Gundlach. He's the
I don't care
CEO,
about any
CIO.
of that. I'm not wasting my time. You guys get it. Yada, 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 back and forth, cat and mouse game. I don't care about any of it. All we know is rate cuts aren't done. And, yeah, I'm not watching any of it. Even if I fast, I can't watch it. It's all a bunch of nonsense. You know, it makes me dumber every time I watch it, so I'm just not going to watch it today. We got a few minutes left here, so we might as well take advantage of it. Bitcoin under 105K at the moment. Ethereum's been... I don't know what's going to make us gallop up. That's the thing. Like, what is forcing us up? What forces us to the next level without rate cuts? Because ACH went up 4% at least artificially, or at least in the moment. I'm trying to figure out what brings us up, though. What gets us up? What finally slingshots us out? Is it just the fact, and this happens sometimes, they'll shut the selling bots off for, you know, a matter of 15, 20, 25%. Then they kind of just bring it right back down. We kind of seen it just recently with XCN. XCN had a nice little 15% move, and then they kind of just brought it exactly back down where it moved. And now we'll see if it surges back up. Like, it went up 23%. And then from the peak very quickly, came back down 16%. Nice little correction. And now if it can hold and push up, maybe this is what happens. Saw the supply raise from 57.7 to 58.8. Interesting. I thought I seen it at 58 before. What do I know? It all gets like kind of merged together sometimes. Crude oil, after being down 2.5% on the day, actually finished up 0.25%, which speaks to further things. Gold ended up it was pretty stationary, but now after the flip at 6, something about $6, nothing major. Silver is back under 37, around 36.73. So definitely still consolidating in this range. Tons of great things happening to crypto and crypto. What's the great thing? I'm just curious. When everybody says there's a bunch of great things, is this the government overreach? Like, is the great things happening to crypto? I'm just curious. I really want to know. Because I'm seeing opposite. So are the great things to everybody who thinks great things are happening, is that because of the adoption? Or is that because of these new bills that they keep signing? Like the, what's that? I don't even know what they call this stupid crypto bill. Is it because of these bills that we perceive as good, when all it does is gives the government overreach? Remember, the whole reason we're trading crypto is because it's an unregulated market. Since when do we all want to trade a regulated market? I'm just saying. Peace deal with Iran and Israel can pump that market. I don't see that happening. The U.S. is in so much debt they need war. What good would it be to not have war? That's the number one way to pump capital into a broke market, into a broken, you know. The number one way to print money is times of war. And the U.S. is broke. Yeah, the Genius Act. That's what I mean, is everybody perceiving all of this as good. But be that as it may, I could see a 20% move happening here. That's what I'm saying. So today when you log off here, you have to do due diligence and be like, hey, am I going to take a shot on something? Because it has been holding these support structures, and this would make sense on an inverse head and shoulders pattern to at least tease a breakout, because it looks like that's possibly what's happening here. Even if it just comes back up here to 75 cents for theta, for example, it does look like we're trying to do something here. Whether it's a tease or not, theta has a big inverse head and shoulders built up. So, like, it could happen. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's going to have some kind of bounce back on ICP after that drop. You're looking to buy the support structure. You're close right now. Now you're going to see if it panned out or not. You're going to get that artificial spike probably to 530. test that death cross in the 4 hourly. If it fails to materialize here, you're going to be holding it, and then it's going to end up dropping out to like 480 or 439, unless this inverse pattern that's trying to set up in front of you works out. Which, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of them look like they're building these cups. That's really what it looks like. So, I mean, all the reasons to be like, oh, it's going to just break down because of all this stuff happening. But I kind of have the contrarian view right now, almost. Well, not almost. I do feel the contrarian view right now. It just, all it takes is one little piece of news, one more airstrike, anything, and risk assets are kind of hanging on the cliff. And void of any volume, it's a problem. That's the biggest problem. So I'm going to end that here. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Thank you all for tuning in. No donations or new members this evening, but that's okay, you know. It happens that way. So we'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to take care of business. And I really want to know, you know, leave a comment, share this, try to expand our audience. I want to know what you're thinking. And when do you even think, if you're watching this after the live, when do you think the rate cuts will happen? Because they're due to happen. That's a guarantee. When do you think true quantitative easing and money printing is going to happen? Because that's guaranteed to happen. It's just a matter of when. So, you know, don't step into something you don't know. Don't try to play the leverage game because it looks appealing because of easy money. Hell, don't even swing trade if it's not for you. There's an opportunity to be had. It's just a matter of finding where that opportunity actually is sitting. So, thank you, everybody. Have a blessed evening. Legendary, thank you so much for the $1.99 donation on the way out. What a guy. What a guy. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.